Audiobooks for Everyone presents A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Full book summary. Ebenezer Scrooge was a miserly, cold-hearted man who cared only for money. His offices were bleak and unwelcoming, much like his personality. Even on Christmas Eve, Scrooge dismissed the joy and generosity of the season, snapping at his cheerful nephew Fred and refusing a request for charity from local men helping the poor. On a biting, fog-filled Christmas Eve in London, the streets were bustling with last-minute shoppers wrapped in heavy coats and scarves. Bells chimed from distant churches, and the cheerful greetings of carolers echoed through the frosty air. Yet, amidst the festive spirit, one place remained untouched by joy: the counting-house of Ebenezer Scrooge. Scrooge, a withered old man with sharp, cold eyes, sat hunched over his desk, quill scratching against paper as he tallied his accounts. His office was as frigid as his heart, with only a single coal smouldering weakly in the grate. His clerk, Bob Cratchit, shivered at his tiny desk, wrapped in a thin scarf as he worked diligently despite the chill. Christmas Eve meant nothing to Scrooge. When his cheerful nephew Fred burst into the office, face flushed from the cold, and wished him a Merry Christmas, Scrooge responded with a sneer. "Bah! Humbug," he spat, dismissing the very idea of joy and charity. Fred only smiled warmly, inviting his uncle to Christmas dinner, but Scrooge refused, declaring that Christmas was nothing more than an excuse for idleness and waste. Shortly after, two men entered, asking for donations to help the poor during the holiday season. Scrooge dismissed them coldly, insisting that the poor should go to the workhouses or prisons if they needed aid. Charity, to him, was foolishness. As the fog thickened outside, Scrooge begrudgingly allowed Cratchit to take Christmas Day off, though he grumbled about it being a waste of money. Scrooge locked up his office and trudged through the misty streets back to his solitary home, unaware that his life was about to change forever. That night, Scrooge was visited by the ghost of his former business partner, Jacob Marley, who was condemned to an eternity of wandering in chains for his greed and lack of compassion. Marley warned Scrooge that he faced the same fate unless he changed his ways. He told Scrooge to expect three spirits who would guide him toward redemption. The first spirit, the ghost of Christmas past, appeared and took Scrooge back to memories of his own life. He saw himself as a lonely child, neglected by his father but happy when his sister Fan came to bring him home. He revisited scenes of youthful joy, including his time working under the kind-hearted Mr. Fezziwig, who celebrated Christmas with generosity and warmth. Scrooge also witnessed the loss of his fiancée, Belle, who left him when his love for money overshadowed his love for her. These memories stirred regret in Scrooge, and he begged the spirit to take him back. The second spirit, the ghost of Christmas present, arrived next. Towering and joyful, the spirit showed Scrooge how others celebrated Christmas despite their hardships. Scrooge saw the humble Cratchit family, who, though poor, shared a meal with joy and gratitude. Scrooge's heart softened as he watched Bob Cratchit's youngest son, Tiny Tim, whose frail health and bright spirit touched him deeply. When Scrooge asked if Tiny Tim would survive, the spirit's silence filled him with dread. The spirit also took Scrooge to other scenes: miners celebrating in the depths of the earth, sailors on a distant ship singing carols, and finally, to his nephew Fred's house, where friends gathered merrily, even toasting to Scrooge's health despite his cruelty. Scrooge began to understand how much joy and connection he had denied himself. The third spirit, the ghost of Christmas yet to come, was dark and foreboding. It did not speak, only pointed. Scrooge was shown visions of his own death unmourned and unnoticed. His possessions were stolen and sold by those with no respect for his memory. Worst of all, he saw the Cratchit family in mourning for Tiny Tim. Overwhelmed with fear and remorse, Scrooge pleaded for another chance, promising to change his ways. Scrooge awoke in his own bed on Christmas morning, overjoyed to be alive and determined to make things right. He immediately began spreading kindness and generosity, donating to the poor, reconnecting with his nephew, and astonishing Bob Cratchit with a raise and support for his family. Tiny Tim survived, and Scrooge became a beloved figure in his community, embodying the spirit of Christmas for the rest of his life. Scrooge had learned the true meaning of Christmas: compassion, generosity, and the joy of human connection. The end.